Hello everybody, my name is Sophie and welcome back to another video. From Xaden wearing skinny jeans to this. How much time has passed? None. He's still wearing them. Fourth Wing has taken the world by storm and it's a phenomenon like no other, which of course has me curious. Why? And I think a lot of people are finally waking up out of their trance and realizing, wait, maybe not. Finally, after endless content of me talking about these books, taking you by the shoulders and going like this, people are waking up and realizing that maybe this isn't what it is, or what it was made out to be. I've done a review for Fourth Wing, I've done a review for Iron Flame, I did a whole podcast episode on why I don't fuck with the author, and I've done a reading vlog for Iron Flame. I didn't do one for this, I was sick. If you can't hear it, we'll get to the disclaimers in a second. I'm sorry. Yet after saying for the first book on Goodreads that he wears skinny jeans, saying for the second book she shaves her cuckoo while at war, and for this one I have a legacy to protect. Wait for it, I haven't thought of anything funny yet. You guys are putting so much pressure on me. I can't figure out what to do because this book was honestly, out of all three of them, the most fucking boring. If you forgot, this is supposed to be a 5-book series. If you haven't read the other two and you're here, why? Well, that's okay. You can just watch my reviews. I linked them down below so you can watch them. But that being said, I don't think there's that much foreplay for this one because it picks up, just like Iron Flame did for the first one, it picks up right where it left off, or did it. We'll explore it. As a book reviewer who doesn't shy away from pointing out the good and the bad in the books that I read, I often get asked the question, so what have you written? And the answer is nothing. One of my goals for this year is writing things of my own. This can be overwhelming because I've never really done it in a serious way before, and so the question is, where do I even start? Because of classes like Skillshare, it becomes easier to be inspired and be more creative. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives with thousands of classes led by industry experts across film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. They can help you take your career, skills, hobbies, and passions to the next level. I want 2025 to be the year where I make more time for creative endeavors, especially in relation to my channel. A Skillshare class that stood out to me was the Creative Writing Bootcamp. I find this class especially relevant to my goals because it's designed to answer the question that I am facing while trying to write, such as, where do I even start? What do I write about? How do I go about it? How do I create characters? If you're interested in this class or any other creative class available on Skillshare, the first 500 people who click the link in my description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. So join now if you are interested, and thank you again to today's sponsor, Skillshare. If you like these books, or this book, or all of these books, and you love Rebecca Yarach, that is great. That's so great. I don't care. Genuinely, everyone can like what they like. I don't care what you like. This video is meant for entertainment purposes only. Nothing I say, I mean with seriousness in my heart. It's all just shits and giggles. Yes, I'm returning to the third book. Why? People are gonna say why. They always ask why. Guys, people are asking me. If you can't believe it, people are asking me to read these books. Yes, they want my opinion. I know it's hard to believe. And also, I think that these books, they remind me a lot of like Riverdale. I don't think anyone was watching Riverdale by the end of it, at least, because they loved the story so much and the characters, but more because it was so weird and they just didn't want to felt left out, maybe. And I think that's how I feel about these books. Like, even if I hate on them, I'm still getting joy out of that. Like, I have like a morbid curiosity about it. And the writing is also very much like Riverdale, so that ties in. Maybe she had something to do with it. Let's talk about the book more specifically. This is obviously going to contain spoilers, and as I said, I am sick. I was sick the entire release week, and I still am. If I forget to cut out a cough, I am sorry. I will try to do my best. My voice is still a little bit hoarse. And I'm not super energetic like I usually am, and I can't laugh so much because when I laugh I have to cough. But I will try my best to make this entertaining for you guys. I'm dying! Help! Somebody put a curse on me! I watched some Rebecca Yarach videos leading up to this review of her going on a little tour for this book. There were several interesting things that she said, I think. One of them was that she doesn't have a date for the next one. And I kind of don't believe her. She was like, because somebody asked her, obviously, like, when's the next book coming out? Like, how long do people have to wait? And she said, like, oh, you know, I don't have a date. I am taking it, like, one day at a time because I'm gonna write a contemporary first, and then I'm gonna spend the summer with my boys. So I imagine it's gonna take her until the summer to write a contemporary, which is not that long, that's 6 months. And then she's gonna spend the summer with her sons and her husband. And she does have a daughter, but for some reason she said with her boys, so I don't know if the daughter is included in that. Maybe she has to spend the summer at home. Maybe she's not coming. And then she is going to write it with no stress. But you are going to be pressed by the publisher to get it out as soon as possible. Like, I don't know why we're pretending like she's not going to be under any sort of, like, deadline, or asked to give a deadline soon. And I don't think it's gonna take 2 years for this book to come out. I think it's gonna come out next year. Why was this book boring and a filler book? Usually the second books suffer from that syndrome, and I think Iron Flame already had a lot of people indecisive about the series. What I think was so special about the first book and why so many people got hooked by it is that it was a romantasy, but like romance first. And it was written by someone who doesn't know how to write a fantasy. And so she had these two major things, which was the romance between the two main characters, and then also the dragons that people thought were just so cool and unique, which realistically, if you look at other series, it's not that unique, but people just thought it was. And because Rebecca Yarrak had been writing romance for so long, she wrote a lot of contemporary books, which for some reason don't get mentioned in the front. Just like other books by Rebecca Yarrak, and it does not say her contemporary books. Why is that? Are you, what? Are you embarrassed? And so when she was able to focus on the romance between the two main characters in the first book and develop that in the first book, because, you know, after the first book they're together, and she has made it clear that they are going to be together for the rest of the series. I don't know if you guys have not heard about that, but people keep freaking out. Are they going to be together? Yes, there's not going to be another love interest. She said that. Now you have to ask yourself, what else is there to give? What else can Rebecca Yarrak give the reader? Besides the romance that's all she's known to write, contemporary romance. She wrote the romance and it got people hooked in the first book. So now we're on book 3. What else? What's left? And the answer is nothing. There is nothing left for Rebecca Yarrak to write, because she is not a skilled writer, and especially not a skilled fantasy writer, because she's never done it before. I have to reiterate every time I talk about these books, she's writing this not because she's always wanted to write fantasy and she loves fantasy and this is her dream. It's because, I don't even know when the first one came out, like 2 years ago, the publisher approached her and asked her, can you write a young adult romantasy, or new adult romantasy, this is. And she said, yeah, I'll do it, I'll think of something. And she thought of this. This is not a passion project, and you can tell. I think it's increasingly harder for her to write a story and write a plot. You could read the beginning of this book and the end and completely miss the middle, and you would still know what is going on. Which is why I would tell you not to read this book even if you have read the other two, because you're not going to get anything out of it. This is very much like New Moon vibes, like Twilight New Moon, because it's like, as we, like the last book, he turned into a vampire, and so, not a vampire, it's a venom. Guys, watch the other reviews, I call it a vampire. They're kind of like vampires, I would say. They don't drink blood, but that doesn't matter. That's the one thing vampires do that they don't do. Whatever. He keeps being like, oh, I have to stay away from you, I have to stay away from you. And then she's like, no, I love you, I love you. And then he's like, no, I have to stay away from you, but I want to eat your ass so bad. And then he does. But if you've read the book, maybe you understand where I'm coming from when I'm saying, like, she exhausted all her ability that she had within her in the first book, and now she's kind of stuck with, like, having to write 4 more after that, because they're forcing her, because they were like, no, a trilogy is not enough, like, this is making too much money, you have to write 5 books, this was supposed to be a trilogy, and so it's really, really suffering already. Yeah, it's not really good, guys, though I do have to say, I said talk about the good and the bad. I think that this was a little bit less cringy than the first two, especially the first one. When I just think back to that, the first couple of lines and everything where she was writing, and Violet, the main character, was just so fucking annoying and like colloquial and everything. I think she's kind of strayed away from that kind of writing. It's still not good. The writing is still not good, but she's less cringe than in the first book. Shout out, Rebecca Yack! Shout out! People agreed with me on my Instagram. One of my members, Stephanie, thank you for answering. She said that the word stomach was used 151 times in this book. Like my stomach fisted, and fucking fucked was used 303 times. Yeah. Thank you. I wouldn't have even thought to look that up. The only words I would have thought to look up were liquefy and sublime, which seem to be the only two words she uses whenever Xaden is around. We'll get to it, okay? Let me yap a little bit. I haven't talked to another soul in a week! I've been right there! I've been right there! Yeah? I've been right there. Literally reading this book was a fever dream because I had a fever and I was reading it. Genuinely. So, give me some fucking grace. People said it's overhyped. Somebody said scratch his head, side eye. You get it. Frustrated that newcomers experiences this shit as their first introduction to fantasy and then wonder why they don't like it. That is so true, bestie. To kind of get you back into the world, I did not do a reread of Iron Flame, and honestly everybody who didn't kind of lost on this one because there were so many names, and this is... Should I even mention that right now? Well, I'll mention it in a second. There were too many names. And if you didn't do a reread of Iron Flame, you were honestly, like, so sure to be lost. And I was so validated in my feelings when I saw people on TikTok agree that there were too many names, like, saying that on their own accord. And that always reminds me why I'm doing this, you know? When I see TikTok videos of people being like, oh, there are so many names in Onyx Storm, like, who are these bitches? And I was like, maybe I just don't know because I'm a hater and I don't care about the side characters. But people who love these books also don't know. I'm like, oh, okay. Yes! And that's why I do this, because if you are a hater, then I'm always a hater one over. Just don't worry about it. Doesn't matter how much of a hater you are. I put curses on people. That was a joke. I don't know if I can say that online. We start the book right where the other one left off, the second one, after the battle. Well, it's not right after. A little bit of time has passed since the fight in the last book. And what happened there, the main takeaway was that Xaden is now a vampire. And it was supposed to be very dramatic. She saw his eyes that are red, which is an indicator that they are vampires. And she was like, oh my god, I'm so scared. And so she makes it her mission in this book to save him, to look for a cure. All the talk about looking for a cure, she does not find one, and she doesn't really search for one either. She asks like 2 people, is there a cure? They say no. She's like, oh. Sucks. She starts chapter 1 by saying... Flying in January. Why do we have the Roman calendar in a fantasy book? I like to point out that I don't understand when we do this in fantasy books. Fantasy books don't have to be like super hardcore medieval settings, especially if there's magic and stuff. But using the Roman calendar takes you out. They don't have that. They don't have our months. Why would they have our months? Are we somehow connected to this world? And also another reason I know that she's not a fantasy writer is because she uses numbers when it comes to army talks, and that's not something you do. You don't do that in fantasy. I don't know if she did research. Probably not. She asked her military husband, probably. Military-loving bitch. Oh. How long does it take me to get disrespectful? Hopefully long, because I wish peace and health on everyone. I have come out of the trenches. So she uses numbers, which is very brave. Because you don't usually do that, because a lot can get messy easily. And that's why you also see big authors not use numbers when it comes to army talk. Okay, then she keeps flying around with her fucking dragons all over the world. She flies for 20 hours, they say. There is no time zones. There's like no daylight saving or whatever the fuck it's called. It will make me think that they would get like jet lagged, right? But the only thing that they ever do is get exhausted from flying. So why is that not the issue? Okay, next. There are too many names. Someone on TikTok saying, it's because Violet is also lost in the beginning of the book. That's not the reason. I don't know why people on TikTok always want to give Rebecca Yarrock more grace than she deserves, but they hype her up to be the queen of Queensville. I'm sorry if that actually exists. They think that she can do no wrong, and so I saw people reason. I thought it was so funny. I had to giggle when I saw it. I saw people say like, guys, there are so many names in the beginning of the book that she's throwing around because Violet is confused, and so since we're in first person, it's like on purpose. Discrepancy on purpose. No! This is Rebecca Yarrock. She does not know what she's doing. That's why. Why are you explaining it away like sophisticatedly? This is not the fucking reason. Where the fuck are we? She starts for some reason flip-flopping between first and last names of the fucking characters. There are already so many characters, and go back, Iron Flame review. Honestly, Sophie, it's on my channel. I already said this in that review. I said, nobody needs to give everybody a name. She gives every character that exists a name. There's a character that will be standing on the sidelines. He will get a name, and he will not be mentioned again. I don't know if she like wants to give every person she knows like a little part in the book, in the series, and the success that she has created. I'm not sure. I think that must be the reason, because why else is every single little itzel bitzel mitzel side character that exists named? That makes no sense. Just say first year cadet, just say general. Why do we need to know everyone's name? Do I look like I can't fucking remember? No. And then in the other book, she only called them by their first names. Now all of a sudden, everybody has a last name. Maybe they already did, okay? Like, peace and love, like, do I look like I know everything? I like to pretend, but I don't. Everybody has a last name, and they need to be called by that last name all. And the best part about it is, the last name is also a first name. There is a character, their last name is Matthias. I was like, who the fuck is Matthias? It's a bitch's last name. And then, additional to that, you also have provinces, and you have dragons, and you have wyverns, and you have griffins, and everyone has a fucking name. The best part about it is that nobody around her knows how to edit a fucking book, or slash they are yes men to her. They don't want to change it. They think that maybe editing her too much, like changing her work too much, would diminish the success that they have created with the series. I can't be sure, but why the fuck is there a character called Cat? And then there's a griffin called Cass. What? They have a one-letter difference. Why? Out of all of the names you could have given in the world, you gave him a name that's almost the same as another character. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't get it. Usually your editor will tell you not to make names similar, so people can differentiate them, but maybe nobody told her. There was an incident where there is a dude whose name is like, I don't know his name. Like Lewis. It's not Lewis, it's something with Lou. It's like a Scottish or, not Scottish, sorry. I just have to apologize. It's like a Gaelic sounding name, and I forgot what it is, but it's something with an L-E-W. That man is a man, but there's also a place on the map that has the same name. Okay? And you're gonna say, why? And then people like to justify everything she does. Maybe she's just a little stupid. People like to say, hello, it's like the royal family, you know? Where people have place names as their last name. Or like, somebody said, what is it? It's like Bridgerton, where like it's the Duke of Hastings, but Hastings is also a place, so, or they also just call him Hastings instead of Duke of Hastings. Stop. There is one singular character that she does this for, which begs me to ask the question, why did we do it at all? Why did we do it at all? And why did we not clarify further that that's what happening? Because then there are lines like, Lewis, whatever his name is, Lewis flies across the table. And in that moment, I still thought that was a fucking place. I was like, what? How did that happen? All of these things would not be issues if you made them clear, but you did not. She jumps into the story right away with a very unnecessary flying around scene that I can't even, like, reciprocate in any shape, way, or form right now because I don't remember what they were talking about. And that is the main issue. Like, all of these are main issues that I'm getting outread at the start. This book could have been cut 300 pages. There is so much dialogue happening between the characters that is unnecessary because the characters are not being developed further. I think it's written very much like a screenplay with just dialogue happening and very little description. And usually I wouldn't complain because I like dialogue better than I like description. But it would just be pages on pages on pages of yapping. Of yapping. That would bring no one further. No one in their characters would be developed further. It would just be people arguing about trivial things. Because why not? And so if I were your editor, I would have asked you, what does this scene, what mehrwert do we have through this scene? Nothing. So I don't know what happens in that scene. The whole ruling government of this continent is also at the war college. And we of course get introduced to all of them and I don't know a single person in it. But why are they at the war college? Don't they have like a capital? Don't you have like a place to rule? Like, why are we at college? Why is the governing body at college? So while we do get a lot of yappy-dapsy scenes, we for some reason don't elaborate on things that matter. For example, they have a meaning and they talk about so many freaking people. But now, what's his name? Xaden is the duke of a fucking area, whatever. And they're talking about the fact that she and him are sleeping in the same bed and they don't think that that's good because he is a vampire and he could lose control. And she goes, even in the moments he's lost control, he's never hurt me. Which to me alludes to the fact that between the last battle and this scene, there must have been a moment he's lost control. And we just don't get to see it. We just don't know about it. Like, it happened, but I'm not gonna put it on the fucking page. Because, bitch, I hate you. That's what I feel like she's saying to me, Rebecca Yarak. Even though he is a vampire, there is no consequence to this. Basically what it means is he channeled through the earth. Usually people get their magic out of the dragons, and that's why they can use the magic, because they are bonded to dragons, and dragons have magic. And he, in an attempt to save someone, which is Violet, channeled magic through the earth, which is a sin! And therefore he is now evil and a vampire who has lost part of his soul, but he doesn't do anything evil all book. Supposedly fighting this unbelievably hard war within himself of being good or being evil, but he is losing it. I'm losing it! I think what also really bothers me about Violet and about their relationship is that it feels very superficial in the sense that whenever he comes up, no matter what, they're at war, by the way, okay? Keep in mind they're at war. And guess where they go back to whenever they go, like, to a war front? School. They don't just go to the school as, like, because it's a big building. They have class. How many more books do I have to read of them going to fucking class with a war going on? Whenever he comes up, he's described as so super sexy and hot. And I think that Violet, in a lot of scenes, and maybe it's just me, maybe I'm the problem, comes across as very self-centered, because he's obviously going through something, even though it's not on the page. We only have her first-person perspective. She keeps trying to reason with him, you're still you, and then there's like scenes where they fight and she's like, look at me, this isn't you. Oh my god, guys, come on. In 2025, she does not want to believe that he is now part, at least, vampire, even though he's not fully encompassed by it yet, which we were made to believe by the end of of the second book. Let's be real, like that was kind of a mislead. You're whole, I whisper. I don't know what you paid to access that power, but it didn't change you. It did, he counters, sidestepping down the stair and out of my arms. I can only think of one way to prove it didn't. Do you still love me? Girl, nobody gives a fuck about you. What the fuck? I don't know if this is as, like, weird to anyone else, but, like, she's like, no, if you still love me, you're still you. Your love is what makes you you. Your love to me is what makes you you. Your attachment to me. Me. Girl, shut up. Let him be. Instead of maybe in the beginning fighting against wanting to believe that this is now the truth that they live, and then slowly not coming to terms with it, but like being like, I understand your struggle, or just even having a conversation about what it's like, what he's experiencing. They don't have that, which is, I don't know if I said that in the other videos. Honestly, now there's too much amount of content that I've made. I can't remember what I say. I would have wanted it to be a little bit more emotional, their relationship, instead of just so superficial where it's like, no, you love me because you're hot and I'm hot, and so we love each other. And whenever he comes up, even if it's like in a war scene where they just, like, people just died, it would be like, oh, but look at his abs. It's like, I don't give a fuck. I really don't give a fuck about his fucking abs. I've known this was coming and have a plan. 2 weeks is a lot of time to overthink every possible scenario, I reply as the crowd slowly parts at the side of the hall in what I came to think of as the Xaden effect. I can't blame them for staring. He's gorgeous. At least she knows how to spell that. I can't blame them for backing up either. He's not only terrifyingly powerful, he's known to be responsible for splitting Navare's riot and providing weapons to Poromiel. Which, however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce it in English. Why the fuck am I getting background on this man that I spent the entire book with? I was there. I was literally, like, I remember. This is one of the scenes in the beginning we get context on, because she's really, like, I don't know, she's kind of like, how do you say, saving on the context. She's like, you get it, whatever, peasant. And then we get 5 pages later, opening the missive, I walk into the hall, recognizing Tekaru's sprawling handwriting. You have 3 days to hold up your end of the bargain. What fucking bargain? Do you think she elaborates on what the fucking bargain is, or who the fuck Takarus is? Who the fuck is that man? But at least we got context of who Xaden is. Like, what he's known for. Like, at least we got context for that. Like, we know who Takarus is in the bargain. You know, we need Xaden information. The focus here is so disproportionate and so poorly chosen. I had to Google. I was like, what is it? I was so confused. Takarus is some kind of royal who made a bargain with her that the people in the wards, like not the dragon riders, but you know, in the last book, they kind of became friends or allied themselves with who was supposed to be the enemy, which are the Griffin Riders, and they are now part of the Dragon Squad, and they like took them with them into the wards because they don't have wards and they're fighting the vampires themselves. And so they're like, no, you come with us, like, we're gonna protect you. You're also, why the fuck are you even fighting in the first place? Nobody knows. They can't use their magic that they do have within the wards, and the deal was some kind of like, they have to use their magic within the word or something. That, look, I looked it up and I can't even remember because it doesn't matter. But it's like, I was so confused. This was 7% in. I was like, what fucking bargain? Please. Am I the problem that I don't know the fucking bargain? When the fuck did she make this bargain? They make for the first 7% it a big deal that her and Xaden should not be sleeping in the same bed because he's so unpredictable with his new vampire power that he can't control himself. And I was like, okay, do we think he's just gonna slit her throat in her sleep? No, they think she's so powerful that he cannot control himself, and because they can channel out of the ground, they can also, like, channel out of people, or they can steal energy from people, the vampires, and so they think that that's what Xaden is gonna do to Violet. They both argue that's not gonna happen, or at least she does. She's like, no, he's not gonna do that. Don't worry about it. And then they make it a big deal that they can't, like, be intimate with one another because that's when they lose control, you know, when they're actually losing it. And I thought this was gonna be a big point of contention for this book. That it's gonna be like, they can't have sex, like, people are reading this book because they want them to have sex. How is she gonna figure it out? How is she gonna make for an interesting story? Because realistically, like, I'd say 25% of people reading this are reading it because they want to see Satan's cock. And the answer to that is, let's just have them finger 7% in the book. I thought it was going to be a big deal. It's not. He puts his fingers in her poo-poo. He does that to her. I have to be a little bit careful with my words because, you know, I do have a sponsor. And then he loses control and he accidentally channels energy out of the ground. And he's like, oh, see, this is why we can't do this. Like, I just can't control myself when I'm around you. The end. The chapter ends literally with the line, did he just channel? ? I could go to the end of any chapter of this book and read it out to you, and it reads so weirdly. It always feels like she's trying to find something dramatic at the end of each chapter to make that the last line. Like, she's actively searching for, like, a dramatic thing to say, and we'll get to more examples. Do we give a fuck? Realistically, no. Can't wait for the TV show. There is, like, a little bit of a riot in the beginning, or, like, a conflict where they have to bring the people together because obviously, as I mentioned earlier, in the past, the Dragon Riders and the Griffin Riders were enemies. They thought they were fighting against each other, but now they're fighting against a common enemy, which is the vampires. And for some reason, some people still don't want to fight with the Griffin Riders, and so they, like, call for a challenge. And Violet gets there and she's like, no, don't fight, please don't fight. And then she gives a little speech and everyone's like, yeah, you know what, we're not gonna fight. Like, you're right, it might be better to have more people to fight the Venom than less. Which nobody seems to have common sense. But this is like to show that she's now a reluctant leader. People look to her for leadership. I really don't know what the issue is for these people. Maybe she just didn't write it well enough for me to get it. The last time a Shadow and Lightning wielder fought side by side, they managed to drive the Venom back into the Barrens for a few hundred years. We'll figure out how to do it again. I fumble the conduit and nearly drop it. Xaden and I are the first of our signets to live simultaneously since the Great War? What? This revelation is practically meaningless. It doesn't come up again. Nobody talks about it again, and that's another issue that I have with this book. A lot of things are happening, but there's also nothing happening at the same time. A lot of things happen like this, where a character makes a statement or there's like a certain revelation, and it doesn't get explored further because she wants to do other things, right? I don't know if I mentioned in the beginning, but I saw an interview where she said that she thinks about the beginning of a book and thinks about the end of a book and then just fills the middle with stuff. Like, she always knows where it's gonna start, where it's gonna end, and then she just fills it with the stuff. And that's like the best, she said it best herself. So like a fucking sandwich, an ice cream sandwich. But that's also why I mentioned earlier that you could read the beginning and you could read the end and leave out the middle and nothing would change. Because things like this, revelations like this, they don't get explored further. And later they do a little bit of they fly a little bit around, you know, the world. They go to Greece and they visit different islands. And people were like praising her again, saying, oh my god, I'm so happy she did more world building just because you go to random ass fucking islands and have them have one chapter on that fucking island and then leave doesn't mean that's world building. That's stupid. Oh my god, guys, they go to these islands asking for allies in the war for nothing in return. They're like, hey, so we're fighting a war, can you help us? I know we haven't spoken in like 200 years. Can you help us? No, I don't think we can. She and her friends figure out how to change the ward stones of the school, so now the Griffin Riders can also channel, which was again her bargain, right? That I only knew because I looked it up. She for some reason makes it so she gets caught. Maybe it was a precaution so nobody else gets caught, but it goes like this. No one say a damn thing, I reply under my breath. I'll be fine. You are hereby charged with high treason against the kingdom of Navarre. Maybe not. That's how it fucking ends. The chapter ends on, maybe not, maybe I won't be fine. Whenever she's in very serious situations like this, I feel like she's not freaking out enough. Like, I don't know where she would get this amount of confidence from. But at the end of the day, she was right about it, actually, so why am I complaining? There are, in fact, no consequences to this. She is charged with high treason because she changed the ward stones and because of her tampering with them. She could have, like, potentially nullified them and stuff like that, and the only thing protecting them from the vampires. It doesn't matter, because she gets pardoned with some other deal she made before. So now, why did we even get this scene of her being charged with treason if she's pardoned anyway? Should we continue reading? She gets arrested. She gets brought in front of the Senarium, which is a senate, I imagine, a fancy word for senate. She's brought before them, then says to Xaden, "You look tired," and he goes, "Just what every man wants to hear from the person he loves." Okay, sorry if you look tired, am I not allowed to fucking say that? Go take a nap. I'm sorry. They go, "What do we even do with that?" "Nothing," Xaden answers. "Cadet Sorengale and whomever she acted with committed the crime last night, and as of this morning, every single one of you and our king signed their pardons. So there's nothing we can do?" "It would seem so." What? Why are we getting this scene then? What is the purpose of the scene? There's like multiple occasions where her friends and her execute a plan, go against orders that they have received to do their own thing because the governing body is not listening to them or whatever, and no one is ever prosecuted for this. No one is ever held accountable. So at the end of the day, it makes me wonder like why there are even rules, and it makes it even funnier because soon after this, Xaden becomes a professor. Don't ask, he doesn't teach anyone anything. I don't know. And then it's supposed to be a whole drama of we can't be together now because in the codex it says a professor and a student can't be together. You always go against every rule possible. But him now being a professor, I'm supposed, as the reader, to take seriously. When everybody started freaking out in the book, I was like, are we being so for real right now? Like, who gives a fuck? What if he's fired from being a professor? Oh no, God forbid. Do we give a fuck? We're at war. Why is he even teaching? Go fight! Have you ever thought about serving the country? Dane's dad, remember Dane? He was like the love interest from the first book also. He is now the mean commander of the school, and so to be mean, he sends them to an active war front. His best soldiers and his best chance at winning the war, he sends to an active war front because he's petty. I don't know. Arrive there. They of course get tricked into a trap because they are not that smart. And they are trapped by a lady who is a vampire, and this is like the main villain of this book, but nobody gives a fuck about her because she gets killed in the end. Her name is something with a T, and she can control seemingly lightning, like Violet, and she's like the vampire counterpart to her, but later she realizes, oh my god, it's not lightning, it's like storms like her mother, because as you remember, Violet's mother died in the last book, sacrificing herself, which has no significance in this book. And I don't know why we're supposed to care. Again, it's a trap. They fly right into it. They get attacked. She like injures herself. Then Xaden arrives at war, and I will read out the scene to you because it's of course very important. God, he looks so good, staring up at me with the kind of intensity that used to rattle my nerves when I was a first year. Oh, he's so sexy. Again, in an active war zone, she almost died. But he is very sexy. After this, they go back to class. What is the point of this book? Because we need some kind of romance drama, because our two love interests are endgame after the first book. She introduces Violet's ex-boyfriend, who happens to be the prince of the country. I think he's blonde, so that means he's immediately disqualified for being a love interest ever again. And he's like very stuck up, just like typical prince, doesn't know anything, pretends like he does, stuck up, arrogant, cheated on Violet. She doesn't really give a fuck about it. At least she seems like she doesn't really give a fuck about it. And for some reason, Xaden is now super duper jealous. He's so jealous. He goes, "Yes, love, I'm jealous," to be precise, to quote him, of this man, which it just doesn't work like that anymore. I'm sorry, like, I cannot, why would he be? They have like a bond and everything, they're like mates. Jealous of the ex-boyfriend that cheated on her 3 years ago? Oh, what? I don't get it. We're like 30% into the book. You say, What's the plot? What are we doing? What's the objective? Well, it's very easy to tell you. They are looking for the dragons that are like Andy. I haven't mentioned the dragons yet in the fucking dragon book. As we know, Violet has two dragons, Teddy and Andy. Andy's the smaller one, and it turns out in the last book that she's a special kind of dragon, a 7th breed, because they always thought there were just 6 breeds. They can fire the wards, which means that they could reactivate wards that don't work anymore, / the wards that they have are failing. They have like 6 months until they completely fail. And so now it's like, okay, we gotta do something about that. But one dragon alone doesn't have enough power or whatever to fire up the fucking the stone. So we need to find her other bros to fire up the stone. This mission is also given to her by the Senate. And the Senate basically says, we are sending you with a group of people that we decide on for some reason. We have so much time in this book of her arguing with them and trying to get her way with the people she takes on this mission, to a point where it's like, okay, at some point, just fucking go. She does eventually go with the people that the Senate picked, and Senate, sorry, I forgot that that's also an English word. They, for some reason, said that this is the superior group, and they go on this first mission to find a relic that they need to get, so then they can give it to someone else, and that person can give them information, because that's what Violet's dad said in his research that he left to her that nobody knows about. So how she convinced them to go to this place to get the relic, I don't know. On this mission with these randos, one lady that has been trained for war, as far as I'm concerned, she was a general, gets spooked by another dude and burns him alive because her power is fire. And at the same time, she sets the entire place where they're looking for this fucking relic on fire. And everything burns down. And then they get attacked. Like, okay, that's one way to prove that Violet needs her people with her and not just some randos, but it's like, you're trying to make me believe that that would happen to these military professionals that are trained for war. They would just randomly get spooked and burn their colleagues. Okay. He's dead. Xaden announces like it's the weather forecast. Huh. Do you think they have the weather forecast in this fantasy novel? Do you think they have a TV and they have a weather forecast on us? Because that's the only reference that this can mean. And nobody caught it? Or do they have someone stand in the middle of the fucking, I don't know, like in the morning and like announce the weather? If that happens, I haven't seen it yet. But I don't just think somebody didn't catch the fact that she's referring to a modern weather forecast. Okay. Now after this incident, she does get her own team, and they make their way to Greece! Yes, they go to Greece! What this means is they decide to look for Andy's bros on a group of islands. Now, I don't know how big this world is supposed to be, but I feel like, even while reading that, I was like, if they actually find them on this quest, that makes me question things like, is it real? Is it small? Is it big? How big is the world? It seems small to me, I don't know. They decide to fly to different islands and ask the people on all of those different islands if they know where the dragons are. If they know where the dragons are. They go visit a lady first. So they ask her, because she was referenced in her dad's research. He said, you should go talk to her. They go talk to her. She's like, I will only help you, because she has more research from her dad. I will only give it to you if you answer 3 of my questions, because your knowledge is your greatest power. And she's like, yeah, okay, so this is the quest. So they wouldn't even have had to get the fucking relic or artifact that the people burned alive for, but whatever, it doesn't matter. They thought she wanted that, but she just wanted answers. I get it. She asks her, she's like, why did this attack happen? Why did this fall through? Like, world-related questions that she does have to think about. And then the last fucking question is, what made you leave the prince? She asked her as a last question, why did you break up with your ex-boyfriend? What? I mean, at the end of the day, this is a romance book first, and everything else second. Or a romance series first. But why are we asking about her ex-boyfriend? They receive the rest of the research. She goes through it. We don't know anything. The next couple of chapters are just them traveling from Greek island to Greek island, meeting the people that live there, trying to get them on their side, failing, and going to the next island. It follows the same pattern of like arriving somewhere, some kind of quirk on the island, like some kind of little challenge they have to do, and then trying to fix the situation and then leaving, and that happens over and over and over again. So to me it was a little bit of a blur with the islands. I cannot really differentiate between them. Sorry. It slips completely when he opens the door and leans in wearing nothing but a towel wrapped around his hips. Gods, he is perfectly beautiful. Wet hair, still a little scruffy. Water droplets clinging to the lines of his muscles. Abs for days and days and days. On these islands there's no magic, and they don't have any dragons, the islanders. And so it's like a big attraction that they keep flying around with their fucking dragons. And she's there with her friends. Oh, and also because there is no magic, Satan is like, oh, we can fuck here because I don't have to be afraid that I could accidentally, while fucking you, use my power. And so she's like, oh yeah, right, like, let's do that. But you're my professor. And then there's like a scene where he asks one of the dudes that's there, actually I don't remember the timeline. Anyway, he's like, I'm just gonna do it, and then they do it. But then something happens and they have to stop doing it, and also don't think he comes. Which is odd to me. You've been wanting it dead bad for the past 3 days and you don't come? And you know how many weeks it's been since they've last been sexually active? From the amount of whining they do about it, of not being able to put it in, you would think they haven't done it for like several months and are like deprived. It's been 6 weeks. Can I say something? Am I allowed to say something in 2025? 6 weeks is not that long. Imagine if she had a baby, which she will in this series, definitely. He is the type of husband that would say, extra stitch. No, of course not. He's a feminist. But you know where the soldiers are? They're inside the walls. It says they're inside the walls! I thought that was so funny. No, but as I said, they fight on these different islands. One island they fight on, there's like people that have the same hair as Violet. And, you know, she has like silver tips in her hair. And it's always been a big question of like, why the fuck? How the fuck? And it turns out that maybe her dad dedicated her to one of the goddesses in her temple because they visit a temple with priestesses and they have the same hair, and so she's like, oh, that must mean like there's like a connection there. But things like this, everything they learn on the islands, is not thought about after. It's not explored further. And quite frankly, I've never cared that much that I made like my own theory about things that would happen in the next books. But it's just like, why did we put so much in here? Like this, I feel like, is very vital information that if I were Violet and I learned something about like my existence and something that she's asked herself her entire life with her hair. If I learned something like that, I would want to find out more about it, but she just doesn't. She doesn't think about it. She has so many conversations with her side character friends that are poorly developed and underdeveloped, but none ever concern themselves around these vital things, around these important things. And then I don't know why we have this literally in the third book, but it's the soldier drags his gaze back to mine and narrows his eyes, saying something I don't fully understand, but I definitely pick up weak and smallest. She's not weak and she's not small. She's a strong baddie. He doesn't think you're ... Dane shakes his head. You know what? Never mind. Are we still going this I'm so small, I'm weak. I'm not, I'm strong and a baddie. Why are we still doing this? I don't know. Especially in the third book, it's like, I'm so over it. She's just not doing anything new. You know what I mean? So that gets a little bit tiresome. Her sister went and visited their grandma at one point. Does not reveal what she talked to this grandma about. This grandma, I don't know her name. I don't know how far away she is, like, realistically. But with all of the amount they spent in fucking class, if this grandma is suspected to have answers for any fucking questions we have, what is the excuse of her not just flying to visit grandma? She goes, if I ever get the courage to speak with her like Mira did, which is her sister, why wouldn't you have the courage to speak with that fuck-ass grandma? Go visit fucking granny. What the fuck? There is no explanation given on why we cannot do that. And so it makes me, the reader, wonder why we are not doing it, you know? It's lazy, especially if it's set up that this grandma could potentially have answers to questions that she poses once and then forgets about. One of my favorite things that she does in this book is when Xaden and Violet are talking, and sometimes I hate when he goes into, or she goes into, really elaborate monologues of like, you are the air that I breathe, and I'm jealous. They say at one point, I'm jealous of the armor that you wear because it gets to touch your body. Yeah. Wow, that's kind of weird. I would get the ick, first of all. Second of all, sometimes she just didn't know how to answer, or she didn't feel like writing these elaborate things, and so what she would do is say, same. You're all that matters to me. Same. This happens like 5 times, at least. I don't know if there's more, but at least 5 times where somebody says something. I love you. Same. Same? They find out that their continent has a name, it's Amarales. And one time it's written with an I, and then the next sentence it's written with a Y. So I don't know what the name of the continent is. This is so far into the book, and they are just flying around. It's just so much filler. Like, genuinely, this, I know this is so boring, but imagine reading this, and then she has these side characters with her. She has this one dude with her whose name I don't know, Richard, who is the comic relief character. People always talk about him being so funny. Rebecca Yarak said in one of her interviews that she gave that whenever he's on page, she adds like a page or two because she just loves writing his banter. Because he's like the funny side character. But someone even wrote unprompted on my Instagram, like, I want that dude to shut the fuck up. And it's like, it's giving a man that was never told to shut the fuck up enough. And then he's like, I know I'm fun. Like, nobody prompts him, but he goes twice on the tangent of, I know I'm the funny guy, but that doesn't mean I'm less valuable in the group and know how to fight and blah, blah, blah. It's like, nobody said that. I hate when characters go on random tangents that it's like, they just saying that because you think the reader is gonna think that? Or why are you going on this tangent for the character? I don't give a fuck about this dude. I really don't. And you could tell that she added a page or two whenever he was speaking because there was a page or two too much dialogue. It was just dialogue. This entire book was just people yapping, and they didn't even fucking yap about the poor... Guys, they meet Xaden's mom. Can you believe they meet Xaden's mom? This is like a big thing, right? His dad is dead. They meet his mom who abandoned him. After meeting the mom, this is like... I don't even know if it's 50% in or whatever, 50, 60% in. They don't talk about the mom again. They don't talk about what happened on this island again. They're not like, oh, maybe we should, like, sit down and think about this a little bit and, like, unravel and, like, also talk about how you feel. No. We have the time to go to class, right? We have the time to go to class and learn things in class. We don't have the time to talk about things like this. Priorities. They go to another island where they play a game. And with this game, you have to pull a card, and whatever is on the card you get as a gift, and you have to be thankful, or you go to prison. I don't know. And one of the dudes gets the card with an arrow on it, and that means he's gonna die, and he gets shot, and they're not allowed to react. And I cannot for the life of you tell you, I'm not betting on myself. I cannot tell you what the fuck this dude's name was. I have no idea. It was a random side character they took with them. He had like a love thing going on with one of the other side characters. He dies. She is supposedly heartbroken. Do you think anyone thinks about this dead man after this scene? It's just like in the other book, there was another side character that got murdered instead of Violet. Like somebody sent an assassin after her, and that random girl was like, got assassinated because they thought it was Violet. And then everyone was like, oh, that's so sad that she died. I'm so upset about that my friend died. And then they never thought about her again. And that just means, Rebecca Yarak, that you have too many characters. Why are we killing... Why are we not thinking about if this is like a colleague of a comrade? Why are we not thinking about him after he's passed now? He gave his life for this mission and we don't think about him ever again. His name doesn't come up again. That's ridiculous. Anyway, they also get a cat. They get an orange tabby out of this game. This orange tabby comes with them. Of course, the name of the cat is Broccoli because he has to have a funny name, and he's like, no, you know, Broccoli. It's like, no thing. But he does not get mentioned either after this scene. And that does not tell anyone that she is doing too much. I feel like if she had maybe limited herself to visiting an island or two that was inhabited and like then explored more, like visiting the mom, exploring that more in depth, visiting the island where the dude gets killed, exploring that more in depth, and then the other islands maybe just say like in passing we travel for 2 days, we don't see any human, we don't see any civilization, or nobody wants to engage with us. Just summing it up like that would be fine. I don't know why I'm giving you really heartfelt tip, like I feel like I'm coaching someone right now. But why do we have to elaborate on everything? It's like the same syndrome she has as with the fucking names, of having to name everyone, even the randomest side character with one line. How she cannot just sum things up. I don't know why that is. Anyway, they find the 7th breed. Of course they do, because otherwise there would be no payoff in this book. But there is nothing that comes out of this either. They confront them. These bitches say to them, you've become the very thing we abhor, the horror we fled from, because they left Andarner's egg there as a test to see if humans were killers. And of course they are. They're fighting a fucking war, and they're like, yeah, because of that we're not helping you, because we love peace. It's like, okay, how can there be peace if we're being fucking attacked? Like, how the fuck was I supposed to know that you abhor war and shit? Like, what the fuck are you putting on me right now? Anyway, they don't get anything out of these dragons. But a great example for writing I have is right after this, it's just Violet and Richard, or whoever the fuck he is, who are encountering these dragons. And then Xaden comes with Garrick, which Garrick, I don't know who that is. His cousin or brother or someone. So keep in mind that we just had this entire scene unfold in front of us. Them conversing with these dragons that they've been looking for. We were there as the reader. Not like she's sparing anything, you know, she's writing everything out. Want to catch us up, Garrick signs, studying the massive heads lowered in our direction. And then they do. On page. Why? Was I not fucking there right now? Was I not there literally 2 pages before when they fucking said it? What the fuck? I was like, when I read that line, I was like, she's not actually going to catch us up. But of course, what follows on that is dialogue. He does catch us up. Do you understand where I'm coming from? Just say, Richard explains what the dragon said to us. And Garrick shakes his head or something like, I was just fucking there. I remember. I literally just read it and you're saying it again? And you're wondering why there's no substance in your book? The vampires intercepted a shipment, and earlier in the book, one of the vampires they have in the basement said, yeah, they walk among you, like there are so many you don't even recognize them. Because they're so powerful, they can mask themselves so well. This is an information that it does not get, like, told to anyone other than Violet and the person who was present at the time. And it makes me wonder why, because this is such vital information that he gives you, that these people can walk among you, and then you get the information that some sort of shipment that was really important was intercepted. And then she, like, goes, my pulse launches. How many Jacks are out there hiding among us, just waiting for their opportunity? girl, he literally told you they were doing this at the beginning of the book, and now we are 70% in. And this is supposed to be new information. It's not. And this is such vital information that it's so frustrating to me as the reader that she does not put it to use. I don't know how to express it properly, but it's like when you keep, like it just keeps happening. And it's so frustrating. It's like also the same thing with the mom. It's like we met the mom and like maybe let's talk about the mom and her having 2 children and like what all of this means. Or for example, one of the random side characters that we then don't see again, they're locked away. They manifest shadow powers, which usually there's only one person that wields shadows alive, I think. I mean, they're making it out to be like that. And then Xaden is like, oh, that's because the magic can feel that the power is shifting. Like, I'm not human anymore, so it's creating a new shadow wielder. Is this not common knowledge? And what is leadership doing about it? And is the Senate not aware of this? Like, where is this person anyway? Where did they put them? There was no help to them after this, like, after they manifested right in front of everyone. Thank God, like, they got their powers right in front of everyone so everyone could see out of the group. Do you guys understand what I mean? Like, what? This is also pointless. He then eats her ass. He lifts my ass and brings my hips straight to his mouth. Eat his ass. Eat his ass. She uses the word sublime twice, both in context of having sex. Also liquefied twice, both in context of having sex. His smile instantly becomes a core memory. It's also an interesting way to put it. And then, I haven't marked anything further, actually. You find out at this point that Violet's second power, because I thought the second power was rare, but everyone has one now in this book. Her second power is that she can dream walk. At least that's what's being alleged. People on TikTok say, what if she's not? Again, I'm not a theory girly, I don't know. This means that she can visit people in their dreams. And she, in this book, realizes this and also realizes that because she's been seeing the dreams out of the perspective of the dreamer, but she can separate herself from the dreamer and then, like, be herself in the dream. And so maybe this is, like, an indication that she can actually, like, attack people in their dreams or something. I don't know. It's just that, like, they wake up and then Xaden is like, oh my god, you're a dream walker, like, that's so dangerous, they're gonna kill you if they find out, like, you have to hide this power. Because as we know, they also kill people who can read minds, because that's a dangerous power, and so Xaden can kind of read minds. And then that's why he doesn't tell anyone his second power, because then he would get killed. And I was like trying to figure out why it would be so bad that she can walk in dreams, because it's like, at the end of the day, if she walks in on me having a dream of me playing handball from 10 years ago where I can't throw the ball properly, like, what the fuck does it matter? But maybe she can actually, like, interfere with people in dreams so it has real life consequences. And then, because at one point, in a dream they get choked, and then Xaden wakes up and, like, he can't breathe. And so maybe she can, like, kill people, you know, in the dream, and then they wake up and they're actually dead. So that would explain why it's dangerous, but she gets the revelation she's a dream walker. This is her second power, and then, that's it. We don't think about it further. Information received, put it away. Put it away. Anyway, as I mentioned earlier, the other dragons that they found, they don't really fuck with them, except for, like, 2. They make a return to them, and they help them with, like, some wards, empowering the wards, and they're like, so sorry that for our other teammates, like, they're just bitches like that. Let's wrap this up. There's, like, 2 dragons that are part of Andy's family directly, or line of whatever family, if you can call it that, and they decide to help them. And they're like, hey, we understand, like, we set you out for failure, sorry, but we want to give you a chance, and we want to take you with us and have you reconnect with your family. And Andy is supposed to be, like, this teenager who's a dragon, who's sassy, and who's, like, stubborn. And he got on my fucking nerves. She's a very beloved character by the fandom, but I think that's just honestly Rebecca Yarrok's writing with her dialogue and everything. It's so fucking annoying to me. Like, her banter just doesn't hit. It just comes across as so annoying. That's the only word I have to describe it. So they pull up and they say, hey, we can help you, but you have to come with us, and you have to let go of the bond that you have because you created that bond yourself, because they're supposed to be really powerful, this breed of dragon. And we know that Violet is bonded to her teddy dragon, and then Andy at the same time. And it's because Andy forced that bond. She created it, and so she can also take it back. And she agrees, and she just leaves their ass. This makes Violet super duper depressed for a while, and she gives us specific timelines. Honestly, I wish I would have paid more attention and like really tried to write it down, like the timelines she gives, but she's depressed. Her siblings also, while she's out of it, kind of conclude that she must have been given to a temple when she was younger because of her hair and her dad's research and blah blah blah. This has no relevance for this story right now. It's gonna be relevant in the next book, I'm sure. At the end of the book, there's a final battle. And this is another one where you can tell that Rebecca Yarrak is not used to writing fantasy because it's all over the place, and I was very confused while it was happening, so peace and love disclaimer, this might be wrong what I'm going to say next. They fight against the evil vampires, and the evil vampire lady is there that can control storms that I mentioned earlier. And all you gotta know about that is that she gets killed. She's very cardboard cutout villain, just like all of the characters are very cardboard cutout and they don't evolve past that. Especially also the side characters that are in the close circle. And she kills her. I think at one point she gets caught under a net. She gets caught under an actual like fisher net with her fucking dragon. That's so silly. She kills that storm lady. So I don't know what the point of her character was if she gets killed within the same book she was introduced. But she's made out to be like all-powerful, all-knowing, like super interesting vampire character, whatever. Who am I to judge? How long has this been going? Who am I to judge? Andy makes a return during this battle to help her, which it's been like 2 weeks. The dragons that picked her up were like, we're gonna be gone for years. And it's been 2 weeks and she comes back. And it's like, okay, so I was so confused at this scene. I was like, didn't she leave? Was it a prank? We don't know. The big battle happens. She kills that lady. She gets unconscious, wakes up, and the big revelation is that there were eggs stolen out of the hatching grounds, like 4 or 6 eggs, one of the two, I don't remember. It was an even number, but I don't remember which one. Satan is gone. Violet and Satan are married. She doesn't remember any of this because one of the characters can wipe memories, and she wiped her memory. The end. That's how it ends. That's like, she's like, what did you do to me? And then the other character's like, what you asked me to. And also the last song of the playlist that Rebecca Yarrak made for this is, Hallelujah! She tied you to the kitchen chair. Everybody is super shook that the memories have been erased, which tells me that those people that are shocked by that are probably people who have not read that many books. In this genre, at least. This is such a basic trope that it's almost laughable, because I feel like when Rebecca Yarrak wrote that, she thought she was doing something, but in reality I can name like 5 books off the top of my head that have had them done that. For example, Legend by Marie Lu. Cried my eyes out. That was the first one that I ever read that did that. I cried my eyes out! I don't think it's that crazy of a plot twist, so whenever you see the shock reactions, that's why, because that's the line it ends on. There's nothing more to it. She's going to probably not, I don't know if she's gonna remember in the next book. Xaden left again. I think he channeled again through the earth, which turned him into a full vampire. The book basically ends the same way the last book ended, because the last book ended on him turning into a vampire because he saved someone through using this magic, which he shouldn't have. And he does the same thing at the end of this book. And so why the fuck did I read an entire book for it to end the same way as the last one? And now he's gone. Oh my god, I'm sure he's gonna be gone for such a long time. It's just like nothing can surprise me with this book. I feel like everything is so predictable. Because, again, Sarah J. Maas, I wanted to call her. They're on the same level at this point. But like Rebecca Yarrak, I feel like she writes these things and she probably thinks she's the first one to do it. And then she just isn't, because they're, you know, everything's been done before. And I feel like her story reads like mine would have if I had actually gone through with it at 14 when I wanted to write my own book. You know what I mean? Like, these are the ideas that come to you first when you think of a fantasy story. And then she's gonna lose her memories. She's gonna lose her memories. She's gonna be pregnant by, like, the next book or the book after that. And we're gonna heal Xaden, and neither of them is gonna die. Not the dragons are gonna die. She said apparently in one of the interviews that one of the characters you guys love is going to die in the next book. What should be another... oh my god, I didn't even say it. One of the lesbians dies. One of the lesbians dies that nobody knows. We got like additional random POVs at the end during the Battle of Xaden. Imogen, which is her girlfriend, dies. And Rihanna, which I didn't mention the entire book, that was her best friend in the first book. I didn't really get why we got those POVs. Let me know if you read this book, how you thought it went. I think it was truly one of the most boring books ever. I mean, for people who are truly 100% invested in the story, and not the story, but the characters, especially the side characters, this was probably a great book for them because there was so much fucking yapping going on. But on a baseline, the plot was just not there, and it was 100% a filler book. Like, we could have cut it down 300 pages. I don't know why they make her write so much. Do you think Hallelujah is fitting for the end of this book? I think it's a little bit dramatic, in my opinion. Goes like this, the fall of the fair. I want to thank all of my members for sticking with me. Usually my members get my videos a day early and they vote on my next reads. Both of those things, I wasn't able to do it because I was sick, and obviously everyone knew this was coming, this read. So you didn't get to vote for it, but I'm gonna put up another poll very soon. And thank you so much for supporting me and for sticking by my side. And I love you so much, and I appreciate you so much. And my members, my book haters, they're the best. My body and my camera are giving up on me. So thank you again for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you stay happy, stay healthy. Peace and love. And hopefully I'll see you in my next video. And if not, then that's okay too. Bye bye.